Hey guys, welcome back to the old pancake breakfast. Hey, so last video on the S10 you seen that we got the motor back, got it all put together, got it in the truck, got transmission in, all that other stuff. So in this video we're gonna put the motor, like the rest of the motor, together in the truck. You know, it's really hard to put it all together then put it in the truck because it's, you know, 1,000 pounds. But anyway, we go over some stuff on how to set throttle linkages on dual carbs, and we'll run into a small issue with the intake manifold, which we'll get into later. But yeah, enjoy the video. You know, throw down some comments if you got any questions, comments, concerns. Enjoy the show.
So fancy.
All right, we have a problem here. Just stop. So here is the point where I ran into a small little issue, not a big deal, but so this block has been decked. The heads are aluminum heads, you know, aftermarket from Pro Max. They're super nice heads, don't get me wrong, but and then the blower manifold has been worked on before. Like you can tell where people have machined parts of the intake flanges on the blower, I'm guessing to clear valve covers or something. But anyway, the intake bolts were not lining up. So in the build sheet of the heads, it says on the bottom, you know, caution, you may need to slot intake bolt holes based on your engine deck height and this and that and blah blah. So that's what we ended up having to do. I had to come in and just put like a little slot on my intake bolt holes for the blower to get the bolt holes to line up. Not a big deal, but you know, it was midnight and we were trying to get it bolted up and noticed that it wasn't working out. So yeah, so that was the deal with that. So we got it figured out and then carried on with the show. Do it again, huh?
Well, I mean, did you like test fit to see if your wallering worked?
Yeah, while you were over there jibber jabbering with Johnny, we
Good.
was over here figuring it out.
Good. Just making sure. Supervisor.
I'm just a bad influence on all of y'all.
Somebody's.
Should be bringing it in May.
Yeah, just bring it in there.
It's gonna be May.
How many did you get?
Wait. Do that again? What was that, Aaron?
What was that? I don't remember what I said.
Come on, you were
Something
quoting
about
like
May.
NSYNC or Backstreet Boys. Come on, Aaron.
May, come
He
on.
said May.
And then you said,
And I
It's
said,
gonna be.
It's gonna be May.
That's going on the internet. But they're going in.
Mm-hmm. That one's just a little being a stepchild about it.
You find the rest of them?
I did.
Good.
Good decent.
Well, we were 3 short there for like 5 seconds, and I was kind of worried about it.
Especially since the one pack was 3 short that we found.
Yeah, we went to the first O'Reilly's, and they had 1 pack, or it wasn't on a shelf, and the guy was like, I can look it up, see if we got one. And he's like, says I have 1. And it was right in front of him at the counter. He's like, it's right here. And he picks it up, and it's missing 2 bolts.
How you gonna put a
See this bolt right here,
spark
though?
wrench on it?
Can you imagine getting an Allen wrench on this frickin' socket over here? Like, there's no way. So
There is a way.
There's.
If there's a wheel. If there's a wheel.
Did
there's
you
a
see
way.
the bolt? You know how they tighten the bolt
They
up?
made a tool.
They grabbed it with a pair of pliers and.
No way. What's wrong with that? I'm just asking. Simple question, man. You know? Oh, no, I done did it.
Wow.
thing's heavy.
And a baby.
Can we just like set the valve covers on there?
Don't pinch your fingers.
Fingers? Don't worry about pinch my whole hand, bro.
Dude, you gotta have a
Mom's
spacer.
only said she's
You need to come this way.
I said you gotta have a spacer.
Forward.
You need at least a 6-inch spacer on that thing.
Dude, you know how much a stinking intercooler for these are? Because they used to make a super chiller for these back in the day for boats.
Yeah.
You know, hot rod guys would run them. I found one on eBay for $1,800.
Holy cow.
Wow.
It's still gotta come up on this side. Right there.
Nice.
Very cool. As Phil would say, that is so unnecessary.
It is, but it's gonna be so fun.
Yes, it is.
Good company, keep it from knocking off.
Keep up with which side was which.
Apparently it's got one blower in the, or one breather in the front, one breather in the back.
Hey, those aren't in there far, but they're in there far enough to keep it from going off.
That's good.
Yeah, but the good thing about this, you can just touch this up all by hand, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Just wiping it.
Yep.
God almighty.
That
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 was good, Jeremy.
Thank you.
that never dull stuff is actually pretty good too for
It's
just
decent.
being able to touch it up.
Yeah, it's definitely decent.
I mean, just if you have the can and you wipe it on there. And,
Here, move.
I was just trying to.
You want to put the other one on here? Ooh, you know what?
I was
Mike, you ain't
admiring.
gonna work. This other one ain't gonna work. Yes.
Yeah.
Mike, do you have a level?
I mean, yeah.
it's not tall enough.
You trying to see how many inches he needs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna set a level on the roof to figure out how.
I mean, 6-inch spacer would be right there.
It
actually.
would.
Yeah, that would be pretty close.
You saw it coming.
You can scratch any other part except for the roof because you can still see the roof.
You way too far. Like I can't measure that.
What?
That'd be like right in there.
What are we at?
Get it? Get it level. 5 inches. So 6 inches get you over it.
Oh yeah.
So stupid.
Do you need to raise the motor up a little, or we need to go body drop it to the molding?
I like raise the motor up a little more.
I did too. Yeah, that's you're getting a little bit. It's already hard enough for you to drive, Mike. You imagine you giving what's that? Jeremy, come imagine this molding here that he wants to body drop to.
I've never been a fan of like actually cutting the body.
Me neither. I was about to say, you get to a point where then you just look stupid.
Hey guys. So, little update on what's going on with the motor. We've got the motor back from Evans. We've got it installed in the truck. And right now, I'm here by myself doing some fine detail work to the motor, getting, carb linkages set, fuel lines made and installed and everything. But I'll give you a little update on the motor and show you guys how it's coming together. It's a little fingerprinty right now, but we'll get it cleaned up. But here is the motor right now. So again, it's a 383 stroker. It's scat rotating assembly. It's got a 4340 crankshaft. It's got negative 20 cc dish pistons in it, Iski camshaft, Johnson lifters. It's got some comp cams, 165 rockers, Promax heads, and these are really nice 225 cc heads, 208 intake valve, 160 exhaust. So these heads will these heads will form or flow. These heads will flow really well with the blower and everything. The motor's already been primed. Everything is together in the motor. The intake has been bolted on. The blower is just sitting here right now. It's got like one bolt in it, and right now I'm actually building carb linkages and fuel lines and stuff, trying to get that together. We've installed the starter. Don't mind all this. I didn't have anything to do with that. We have the fuel system is complete. I do need to move the fuel pressure gauge because it's currently hitting the valve cover. So what I'm going to do is just 45 off this, so the gauge just comes up like this, so you can read it anyways, because right now you can't even really read the gauge. This regulator is vacuum referenced, so we have a vacuum hose here. I'm going to bend a piece of stainless line to come up to one of the carburetors so I can run a vacuum. The ignition system is boost reference, so we have a port in the back of the blower. We're going to plug the boost reference for the blower into, or for the ignition system into. And yeah, we'll just keep going. This truck does not have power brakes or power steering. So the only accessory we're going to have off the motor is going to be an alternator over here. We have two Holley 650 boost reference carburetors. These are, I wouldn't really say a gift, but a trade up for me from a good friend of mine, Dave Newbern. The old motor we had in here had two Demon 750 fuelie carburetors on it. They were just regular fuel carburetors, no boost reference or anything like that. So they really kind of weren't, you know, the correct tool for the job. So Dave was like, "Oh, I've got some blower carbs, dude. I'll trade you straight up for yours, and we can run these on there." So Dave hooked me up. I've pulled these apart on the inside, cleaned any kind of fuel or anything out of them. There wasn't really any fuel in them. They were fresh rebuilt carburetors. They've had the reusable gaskets put in them and blah blah blah. So these are super premium. I have made and installed nickel plated fuel lines on here. Getting them all mocked up. Here in a minute I'm gonna get the linkage installed on here. I'll show you guys all that. But for now I'm gonna keep trucking, get all this fine detail stuff put on. You know, just kind of some of the stuff that you got a bunch of people running around or whatever. It's kind of hard to get all the fine detail stuff going on when, you know, there's shenanigans going on, which is fine. But yeah, so we'll keep trucking and touch base here in a little bit. So I finished with the throttle linkage. Show you guys this stuff. So one of the pain points of the old motor was the throttle linkage. I mean, other than the motor coming apart, but the throttle linkage was like super ghetto. Like I don't understand why people do this, but the parts and pieces to make it correct were out there, easy to come by, but for some reason, like, you've got so many thousands of dollars invested into, you know, in a good motor, and the last $40 you're just like, ugh, screw that, I'm gonna, you know, chintzy this thing together. So anyway, so when I decided to redo the motor, I decided that I was gonna redo the motor. So the old throttle linkage got the boot, but one of the things that you want to try and do when you're running dual carbs is, so obviously you're going to have a linkage that's going to control both the carbs at the same time. You can have like progressive linkage too that you could get into, where you give it throttle and it gives 20% to this carb and 50 to that one and blah 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 blah. But anyway, we ain't doing all that. But so you have to have some kind of linkage to control both of your carbs at one time. So this linkage kit I purchased from a place called Good Vibrations. They sell all kinds of like blower stuff and tunnel ramp stuff and all that. So this kit was actually made for this blower. So it comes with all of this linkage you see here. The only thing it didn't come with was this rod. It did come with a rod, but this rod was too short from where I wanted my bell crank. They recommend the bell crank is up here on the blower, but I moved it down here so it could get a better throttle cable angle. And also, one thing to note, I've noticed on some of these B&M blowers, they have like an emboss here in the side of the blower case that you can thread a bell crank into it. But for some reason, my blower doesn't have one. I'm not sure why or whatever. But so I had to, on the bottom of the blower down here, you can see this bracket. There's 2 bolts down here, 2/4 20 bolts. So I made this piece of stainless and bracketed it on here. This comes up here, offsetted the bell crank 1 inch from the center to give this rod a more of a straight on shot. So when you are giving it throttle, you'll notice the rod curves in and then comes back out during the natural throw of the crank. So it comes in and then goes back out. So it gives it better alignment, so that way you don't have any kind of binding in your throttle movement. Another thing you want to look for is you want to make sure that all your linkages are straight. You don't want them going on like an angle, which was one of the other things that was wrong with the old motor. All the linkages were not adjusted right. So like this one was going this way, and then this carb would go this way, and then this linkage was like on a 45. So it was just not, it was not correct. And then what happens is you get tension on these rod ends. So when you're giving it throttle, like it's got like a binding area in it. So it bound up so bad last time that I actually had to have a return spring on it, because the throttle would like get here and then bind up, and then you had to put a return spring on it so it wouldn't, you know, get stuck. But now, I mean, it's good to go now. So all right, so we got it almost together. Pretty much just need to put the front clip on and some other things and get it going. In the next video, we're gonna fire it up, take it for a little test rip, and see how it goes. Anyway, thanks for watching.